What's up everyone, my name is Eric and this is the first video that I'm going to do in regards of MMA picks specifically for UFC, and we're going to start with the UFC Vegas 89, the main event going between Amanda Ribas and Rose Namajunas. There's a lot of underdogs that might pull it off on this event, and so check it out. I got some good picks for you. So the first fight we have is Muhammad Usman against Michael Parking. Michael Parking is undefeated. Muhammad Usman is 10-2. He's the underdog, and I'm gonna have to lean towards the underdog here. Muhammad Usman has had better competition in my estimation, and somehow I think it's gonna be a problem for Mick to keep it up. We know Muhammad is a strong guy, and I think this is a fight that might go to distance. So Muhammad Usman's BA decision is a pick. The next bout is Igor Da Silva against Andrea Lima. What happens here is that both guys come from the Contender Series and they're both undefeated. The difference is that Igor Da Silva is a 100% finishing rate fighter, and Andrea Lima is a little older, not super older, 25 years old, against Igor, who is 20, and he's got a couple of decisions. I think I'm gonna have to lean towards the more mature fighter in Andrea Lima. We know that Igor loves the knockout, he loves the finish, but somehow I think Andrea Lima is going to control this fight, and he might take the younger Igor Da Silva to a decision, winning maybe 29-28 in the scorecards. Now we have a fight that's very tricky in terms that Montserrat Rendon, she only has one fight in the UFC against the one that's making her debut in Darija Selenichjakova. This Russian fighter is 8-1. She's the favorite. I'm not very confident about this pick. She might pull it off, but I wouldn't be surprised if Montserrat somehow takes Darija to a decision, just like she did the last time against the Brazilian fighter, and wins a split decision. I'm gonna lean towards Darija, maybe a tough fight, and probably a decision, maybe a split decision. We got Jarno Aarons against Steve Nguyen. Again, another Contender Series alumni in Steve Nguyen. It's a tough fight because I don't know much about Steve Nguyen. He has only one loss, and that's a knockout loss in the Contender Series a couple of years ago against Alan Cruz, who's in Bellator now. Jarno Aarons has had two kind of like short notice, save the card type of fights against William Gomez in France and against So-Won Choi in Singapore. Both losses, but I don't know. I think this is a tricky fight. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a finish. I would bet on the finish, not who wins. But I think Steve Nguyen is gonna maybe be able to control the fight and maybe get a knockout. I'm not sure, but I think the finish is a safer bet here. Now I got Miles Jones against Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson is a veteran. He has fought the likes of Aljamain Sterling. Lost his last fight against Brad Katona in the Ultimate Fighter finale last year. Miles Jones was coming off a good win against Dan Argueta, but that was turned into a no contest because of some drug test that he failed. And now Cody Gibson is the underdog in this fight. He's a bigger fighter, but he's also older, and he tends to gas a little bit. I'm gonna have to lean towards Miles Jones, maybe keeping the fight on the feet and maybe exhausting Cody to the extent that he might not be able to, keep up with the pace of the younger Miles Jones. Now we got Ricardo Ramos against Julian Erosa. This fight smells finished to me. This is a finish. This is a fight that's not gonna go to the scorecards. Ramos fought Charles Jourdain and he lost to Charles Jourdain via submission, and Julian Erosa fought Charles Jourdain and submitted Charles Jourdain. Tricky fight for me. I lean towards Ramos because he's a little younger, but I think the safer bet, again, it's the finish. I think this one does not go to the scorecards. Now we got two complete opposite fighters in terms of how they fight. Trey Ogden, a very calculating, meticulous type of fighter, a safe fighter, doesn't have knockout wins, doesn't have knockout losses. Kurt Holloway is the complete opposite. He has 17 finishes out of 20 wins. So this guy doesn't really like the scorecard thing. I think Kurt Holloway could submit Trey Ogden because I don't think Trey Ogden is going to be interested in making exchanges or in getting into a firefight with Kurt Holloway. Kurt Holloway might pull it off. He's the underdog, so keep that in mind. Maybe be a submission. Now we got Fernando Padilla against Luis Pajuelo. Luis Pajuelo, another contender series enemy from 2023. Fernando Padilla is coming off a loss against Kyle Nelson. I'm going to lean towards the Peruvian getting this one done. Who knows, maybe a finish, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to the scorecards. Now, Billy Quarantillo against Youssef Salal. Billy Quarantillo tends to lose only to top-level competition like Edson Barboza, Shane Burgos. Youssef Salal has been a little inactive over the past couple of years. Took Ilya Topuria to a decision, that says a lot, as a draw against Damon Blackshear. But I'm going to have to lean towards a more active fighter in Billy Quarantillo. I think he gets this one done, maybe in the scorecards because Salal has never been finished. Now I got Peyton Talbot against Cameron Simon. They're both very young. They're both 25 for Talbot and 23 for Simon. Talbot is a Terminator. He just keeps coming forward. He might lose the first round, but then round 2 and 3, he takes control of the fight. Cameron Simon was kind of exposed in that last fight against Christian Rodriguez, so I'm going to have to go with Talbot getting this one done, maybe in the scorecards. Edmund Shavasian against AJ Dobson. AJ Dobson has not really fought top-level competition. Edmund Shavasian has. He has lost to 4 good fighters, 4 UFC-level fighters in Jack Hermansson, Nasruddin Imavov, Derek Bronson, and, of course, Fluffy Hernandez. I'm going to have to lean towards Edmund Shavasian, but I'm not really confident about this pick. Maybe in the scorecards, but he tends to gas, so be careful. Now, the co-main event is Carl Williams versus Justin Tafa. We got 2 different fighters here. Carl Williams is a grappler. He's a wrestler. He controls fights. He controls his opponent against the cage and the ground. Has beautiful takedowns. Justin Tafa is a knockout artist. The only chance that he has of winning this fight is the only way that he has won his 7 via knockout. That's the only way he can win this fight. So I'm going to have to lean Carl Williams, probably be a decision. In the main event, we got Amanda Ribas against the former champion, Rose Namajunas, sorry. I think this is a tricky one because we don't know what version of Rose we're going to see in this fight. I think Rose, if she is the Rose that knocked out Xiangwei Li and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she can get the W. But I don't know, sometimes the mental aspect is what ends up beating Rose Namajunas. Amanda Ribas is a grinder, so I'm going to have to lean towards Amanda Ribas on this one, maybe in the scorecards. So that's it. That's a review for UFC Vegas 89. A lot of underdogs might pull it off. This is my first video in English for those of you who don't speak Spanish. From now on, we're going to be giving you the option to see the picks or hear the picks in English. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and this is TKO, where we knocked out the gambling houses.